Nurturing relationships, love and connections that last all year round. That's what's next on the podcast. I'm Natalie Tysdal, a journalist who decided enough is enough. I left a career that looked glamorous to do what I was scared of doing, going out on my own. I'm a married working mom of 3. On this podcast, we're going to talk about issues that really matter. Why am I not sleeping? What's up with that diet everyone's talking about? Are my kids falling behind? How do I leave that job and start over? Welcome to the Natalie Tysdal podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Hi, everyone. It's Natalie. February is known as the month of love, right? Filled with chocolates and flowers and heartfelt words. But what about the rest of the year? How do we keep that spark alive? It's been a crazy few weeks. If you follow my social media, maybe you saw my post about my little accident that turned out to not be so little after all. I slipped on the ice. And if you're watching on YouTube, maybe you see the sling that my arm is now in. I'm right-handed, so I'm having a lot of trouble doing everything with just one hand, my left hand, but I'm getting used to it and life goes on. But what this really leads me to is nurturing our relationships. I have relied heavily on relationships in the last week. And I want to get started with asking you first to subscribe to the podcast wherever you are listening. It means so much to me that you continue to follow and subscribe so you get alerts when new episodes come out. So let's dive into sustaining and enhancing our relationships. I have 8 tips for you today. Have you noticed the words on those cute Valentine's Day cookies? Kind of like the old-fashioned nostalgic candy hearts. I love you, be mine, sweet pea, be happy, love bug. I loved those when I was little. I think they're kind of gross right now, the candy hearts. But the other day, my husband and I were at the store and we saw some Valentine's Day cookies that looked like those candy hearts. And on the front of these cookies said, "I tolerate you." We laughed. We thought it was so funny. It is funny. But over the course of the last week, I keep thinking about that silly cookie that looked like a candy heart. It really made me think about what love really means. And true love involves embracing not just the good and the beautiful and all of that, but also the quirks, the imperfections, the bumps, the bruises, the broken arms, the mistakes. Building lasting relationships requires understanding and, yes, toleration. So that's tip number 1. I know it sounds funny. Tip number 1, be tolerant. It's so important. And this is interesting. According to a study published by the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, couples who engage in challenging activities experience more positive feelings about their relationship. And I find that interesting because it's not all romance and flowers. Tip number 2, this one's good too. Shared experiences. It is the shared experiences, even the shared challenges, the moments that require us to adapt, engage fully, and support one another. It's those moments that build relationships. I kind of think of it like the child that accomplishes a really hard task and feels so proud of that really small task that they have confidence. We're kind of like that in our relationships. When we overcome the hardship, our relationship confidence is better, and thus we build bonds. We learn how to get over those stumbling blocks, how to work out issues, how to reflect, and how to see where our shortcomings are and how those relationships can then thrive. On to tip number 3. Expressing gratitude. This might sound really simple and self-explanatory, but do we really express gratitude in our relationships on a regular basis? It's so powerful. Expressing gratitude to your partner not only makes them feel validated and valued, but it strengthens your bond. A little thank you can go a long way. Verbally, written, Post-it notes, whatever it is, it does go a long way. Number 4, can we talk about communication for a minute? Clear, open communication. It really is the backbone of any strong relationship. It's important to express those feelings honestly, and then listen attentively when your partner shares their own feelings. For so many people, it's harder than it sounds. I get it. It's easier to move on, move past it. But guess what that leads to? Resentment and buried issues. Maybe don't communicate in the heat of the moment. And if you're in an argument saying, I need to communicate, and then it turns into everything else, the kitchen sink, as I like to call it. But do go back, even use these words in the spirit of communication. And because I value our relationship, I'd love to talk about something that's been bothering me. Okay, let's have a conversation about the importance of having a sense of humor. Tip number 5, having a sense of humor. I think this is a really big one. Life can indeed be tough. And in those challenging times, having someone to share a laugh with can make it a whole lot easier. Shared laughter has the incredible power to lighten the load and bring people closer together. It creates that sense of connection and camaraderie, making even the toughest moments a little bit more bearable. Let me tell you a story. So I fell on the ice. So I'm not very tolerant, shall I say, of ice lately and snow. And we've had quite a few bouts of snow this year here in Colorado. We were coming home last weekend from a volleyball tournament with our teenage son, and it was dumping snow, not just a little bit, but it was coming down. I think we ended up getting 10 inches in like 7 or 8 hours. I'm not a meteorologist. That was not my specialty, but it was a lot. It was dumping snow. And we're pulling into the driveway. And before we pulled in, my husband said, you know what? Open the garage door. Just stay right here. I'm going to just clear those 2 paths where you pull the truck in so that we don't crunch over that snow, because we have a north-facing driveway. And as soon as you drive over it, it packs that snow down, and then it's really hard to get it to go away. It can take weeks. So he said, just sit here. I'll go in. I'll grab the shovel. He's shoveling. And I'm kind of using the laughter because I pull out my phone and I'm videoing him, and it is coming down, and it's heavy snow. So he clears one path and then he starts clearing the other one, and it's so heavy. I can tell he's like very frustrated by it because he doesn't have all the gear on. He's just trying to do a quick clear, and it was not a quick clear. So he tells me to pull in, and I'm trying to line the tires up with the 2 paths that he created so that I don't drive over the snow. And I can't do it. I can't seem to figure out where those 2 are. And he's like directing me, and he's getting frustrated, and I'm kind of laughing. So he's even more frustrated with me. So eventually he's like, just pull in, just never mind, just drive over it, just pull in. And so I pull in over the snow. I can't seem to find those 2 tracks. And I get out of the car, and he's like, how could you not? It's like very simple. And I said, I can't see where the tires are when I'm sitting. So this moment escalated a little bit. And then we both just looked at each other and we just laughed. And that laughter, and what made it even more funny is we had just seen this cookie. And I said, you know what? I tolerate you. And then we both laughed even more. So laughter can be so helpful. We were frustrated, but that moment of laughter, and then admitting that, yes, I'm not the best driver, and he got frustrated, but that laughter really helped in the moment. Tip number 6, prioritize quality time. In our busy lives, it is so easy to get caught up in routines and forget to carve out time for each other. Make an effort to spend that quality time together. It could be date nights. It could be regular walks, even just a quiet few minutes of coffee in the morning. What does it look like in your relationships? I challenge you to think about what that looks like regularly. And by the way, maybe it sounds like I'm focusing on romantic relationships. I kind of am, but this goes for any meaningful relationship, parenting, friends, your parents, you name it. Where is that quality time, that laughter? Where is the uninterrupted time without distractions? Phones, of course. Even if it's just 5 minutes, think about that quality time. Are you looking for ways to stay energized, healthy, and help your family stay healthy? I've started taking supplements from Seeking Health, and it has changed the game for me. I no longer worry that my family is getting enough of the vitamins we need, and I know the quality of what we're taking is top notch. I take an immunity support supplement, magnesium, and several others, including electrolytes to stay hydrated. So many people ask me about these supplements that I've made it really easy for you to find right on my website, natalietysdal.com/favorites. Also, bonus, I have a coupon code to help you save 10% on your order. You will find that coupon code on the website as well. Go to natalietysdal.com/favorites. Click on Seeking Health. I may earn a small commission if you purchase there, but that's just to help my small business grow, the website and the podcast, to keep this news and good interviews coming your way. Again, natalietysdal.com/favorites and click on Seeking. Next, my 7th tip is forgiveness. It is a universal truth that we make mistakes, all of us. The true measure lies in our ability to forgive, to learn from these experiences and forge ahead together. Why do humans find this so challenging? It's worth noting that forgiveness, we know it is repeatedly emphasized in the Bible, not just a selfless act, but also one that's important for our own well-being and our peace of mind. In fact, Luke 6:37, do not judge and you will not be judged. Do not condemn and you will not be condemned. And then Matthew 18:21 and 22 further emphasizes the nature of forgiveness. When Peter asked Jesus how many times he should forgive his brother who sins against him, and Jesus replied, I tell you, not 7 times, 77 times. This teaches us that forgiveness is not a one-off act, but a continuous practice. And let me tell you that just like anything, we have to practice these things. We have to practice forgiveness for it to become more of something that we do regularly without a lot of hesitation. Let me encourage you, when you find yourself holding on to anger or resentment, remember the power of forgiveness in strengthening relationships and bringing peace to yourself. Next, supporting each other's individual growth. That's number 7. A strong relationship involves 2 individuals who support and encourage each other's personal development. It's important to give each other space and freedom to pursue your own interests and goals while also being there to cheer the other person on regularly. As just people, as individuals, we are constantly growing and changing. That's normal and it's good. So it's so important for us in our relationships to evolve alongside our friends and our partners. And lastly, don't forget to keep the romance alive. Since we're talking about relationships here and romantic relationships, maybe that's small gestures of love, like surprise dates, handwritten notes. One year, my kids and I put sticky notes all over my husband's mirror in the bathroom. What a great thing to wake up to. Those little things that reignite the spark in your relationships. Keep the flame of romance burning, or even for your kids, like putting sticky notes all over, or even, how about this one? Taking an expo marker, just a dry erase marker, you can write on a mirror and then you can wipe it off. All kinds of little notes. Those things just brighten someone's day and make such a big difference. Take the time to plan those things or even do them last minute. Special outings can create all kinds of memories and deepen those connections. So there you have it, my top 8 tips for keeping relationships strong all year round. Remember, love isn't just for February, it is for every single day. And I would love to hear from you about the unique ways you are building and sustaining the bonds in your life. Let's create a community that supports and inspires each other. I'm grateful for you every day. I love you, and I hope you have a great week. Talk to you soon. Thank you for joining the Natalie Tysdal podcast. You can follow along on Instagram and at natalietysdal.com. Subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave a review so I can continue to bring you fresh content. See you next week.